Next song, Fire. So this song, again, I love connecting the historical Black experience to the current one. I mean, I don't love that it is as connected as it is, but it's a beautiful thing when I'm able to do this through art. This song also starts with a very scratchy recording. It's the oldest known recording of a Negro spiritual called If I Have My Way, or If I Had My Way. And Black American church music has a covert history of resistance. During and after slavery, Black people would slip revolutionary messages and sometimes secret instructions behind metaphors and biblical allusions. You know, we talk about this on the Underground Railroad all the time. There were like instructions for how to escape hidden in the lyrics of these church songs. And the slave masters thought, oh, they just singing about God or the Bible or Jesus, and they giving you a roadmap to freedom, right? So If I Had My Way happened to be one of those songs. On the surface, If I Had My Way simply tells the story of Samson from the Bible. The verses contain the narrative of his fascinating and troubled life as a warrior. But the chorus references the way in which Samson died. At the end of his life, Samson was captured by his enemies. He was enslaved, tortured, had his eyes plucked out. One day, his tormentors were throwing a lavish party and decided to bring him out to mock him. He was placed between two pillars, humiliated, while his enemies celebrated. And as the story in the Bible goes, in that moment, Samson prayed to God for supernatural strength. He pushed the pillars down, collapsing the house, and also killing his enemies and himself in the process. Being raised in church, I was very familiar with this story. However, it was not until recently that I came across this old Negro spiritual, and particularly the chorus that goes, if I had my way, little children, if I had my way, I'd tear the building down. As a Black person, when I first came across this song and I heard those lyrics, I knew instantly that my ancestors was not singing about Samson. They were singing about themselves, their rage, their desire to tear down the pillars of oppression that enslaved and tormented them. They wanted this so badly that, like Samson, they were willing to die for it, and many of them did. Here we are in 2021, and Black Americans are still tormented, still praying that God might collapse the pillars of oppression and tear the building down, no matter the cost. So Fire is about institutional racism. More specifically, how it is expressed in the school system, policing, and the prison system. See, I am creative, and I've always been, but I haven't always known that. I didn't really start creating until college, and I actually thought I was dumb most of my childhood. This was not due to low self-esteem. I liked myself. I had friends, but it was due to what I believe to be an accurate understanding of the rubric by which I was being judged. I did not measure up to Eurocentric assimilated definitions of intelligence. I mean, I know what it means to be smart. To be smart means to get straight A's, right? To be smart means to do well on the SATs and the end of the year tests and to get into colleges like Harvard and Yale and Stanford, right? That wasn't me. It wasn't me not liking myself. I'm one of 6 kids, and my siblings, a lot of them were traditionally smart, but I wasn't. I was the only kid in my family to ever fail a class. I failed algebra. I had to take it twice, and I studied. I did all my homework. I paid attention in class. It just didn't work for me. So I genuinely thought I was stupid, objectively speaking. It wasn't like, oh, I'm dumb. I'm like, you can't be smart if you fail algebra and you're actually trying. You know what I'm saying? I read slow. I definitely wasn't getting into Harvard or Yale. So I just thought, matter-of-factly, I was stupid. And you couldn't convince me otherwise. But my parents were very strict, and I still worked really hard, even though academics didn't come naturally to me. And I got average grades, decent enough to get into a college. And I got into a school that most folks never even heard of. It's not prestigious. I didn't even want to go to college, though. I hated school because it made me feel like I was stupid. But everyone I talked to said, if you want to do something with your life, you have to go to college. So I reluctantly went to college. And it was not a great experience for me. In the third verse of the song Fire, I rap, making it into college, they try to assimilate you. Only black boy on my dorm room floor. What I come here for, now I'm really unsure. Every level up, a little more isolated from the melanated village that it takes to raise me. Woke up like, why am I stressing the labor at a table as the token exception? This was my experience. I went to college, and my college was super white. It was like my freshman year, I stayed in a dorm that was 19 stories high, and there was 30 guys on each floor. And it was me, 1 Asian, and 28 white guys. And the classrooms looked similar. And I think this isolation is one of the most powerful tools of white supremacy. As a person of color, no matter what industry you're in, whether you're talking about education or politics or business or fine arts or music, if you seek to better yourself, if you seek to be successful by typical American standards, if you climb the ladder, more often than not, you find yourself surrounded by fewer and fewer people of color. Even if your heart remains with your people, your time is spent apart from them. And eventually, you're not actually in sync with the pulse of that community. You're trying to be a representative of a people that you've been disconnected from for years. I say this because this happened to me. DETOX is a homecoming. You know, in college, I started writing poetry and music, and I went to this predominantly white college, and I started actually to have success. And I started getting all of these invitations and to all these predominantly white spaces and conferences and communities, and I'm constantly speaking on behalf. I'm constantly the token black guy explaining things to white people for years and getting paid for it. And I'm speaking about black people a lot, but I'm seldom speaking to them. And this is success. I found myself very disconnected. It was weird. Like after a while, I'd be in a room full of black people and felt like I didn't fit in. Even though so much of my time and my work was spent advocating on behalf of my community. And DETOX very much is a homecoming because I very intentionally shifted. I'm like, you know what? I'm not finna explain stuff to white folks anymore about race. And I don't regret the time I spent doing that and the art that I made about that. But I was like, I'm talking about black folks a lot. I'm not talking to us. I'm not talking with us. And so I don't want that type of isolation. So that's what FIRE is about, kind of just bucking against the institutions that separate you from your own people.